boy, how I got started in radio. I was 6 when I asked for the microphone from the Sears catalog. So I got the little mic. It took 2 years for me to get that out of the Sears Wish catalog. But when I got it, I did my own little shows in the stereo room. And at 11 years old, a JC, I grew up in New Hampshire, a JC asked me if I wanted to go to the station and see one. And I said, yeah. So every Saturday I would get up as an 11-year-old and go in at 4 a.m. in the morning and just hand him his little 45s. So I got to high school and we had a radio station in our high school in the Botech Center, and it was actually on the air. And cable had just come out. We had 12 channels. Can you imagine what you do now with 12 channels only? And we were channel 6 on the cable, so the whole town of Keene, New Hampshire could hear us. So I'm in history class one day, and the substitute history teacher said, can you stay after class and could I talk to you? And I'm like, okay, I didn't say anything wise this time because I was a wise ass in school, but always for fun, never mean. And so he said, hey, I'm the 6 to midnight guy at the local radio station. He said, I'm leaving in 3 months. I've heard your show on the cable. You should apply. So this is 1979. And I applied and I got the job and was program director there at 18 years old, 7 months later. So I bounced. The most surprising turn was the first time I got fired, which was probably my 5th job. There was a guy that didn't like me there that used to live with me in New Hampshire. Well, he started walking in with my clothes on because we lived together. Well, he moved to Buffalo. I ended up getting sent to Buffalo from the same company. And he started coming in with my Jordache coat, which was a fortune back then. And I said, that's my coat. And he goes, it is. And he turned red. And so he kept coming in with my clothes. And I said, how much did you steal from me when you moved? And so he started kind of bullying me, dumping ashtrays on my stuff and all this. And the boss said, well, he was here first, you were here second, we're going to have to let you go. I had just up and moved from New Hampshire to Buffalo, and now I'm without a job. Within 2 hours, the guy across down in the city, because I was up by Niagara Falls, the guy in Buffalo downtown said, hey, we got a 6 to 9 job open at night. We'll pay you this, which was more than I was making there, and I was working 3 hours. So then I got into the club, and that's where I met Rick James, started doing 10 to 5 in the morning, 3 nights a week after my show. So that to me was very cool that somebody else wanted me. I think that was the first time I realized, okay, maybe I do have enough talent to stay in this, because I was probably in year 6 or 7. Started a family, I got married at 28. So I was in New York City, and the girl I was dating was in Boston. And we were apart those 2.5 years. And we had a son. We were married only 5 years. We moved to Denver together from New York, and I have a lovely son, Shane. So that was the first marriage, and then I have a son with my second wife, who is 18 years old, and his name is Hunter. So my third wife, Susie, has 2 kids. I was not the best in marriage. I really wasn't. I did it too young. I found the love of my life, and you know, when they say third's a charm, you never believe it until it becomes one. We've been together 8 years, and she's my lifer. And so she has 2 girls. One is 26 now. When I met Carly, she was 14. So now she's 26 years old, and yeah. And the other one's 22, Tori. Obviously, I wasn't doing very well in my marriages, and you know, I'm a good person. I love people, but I just was dishonest. I was dishonest a lot. And in my business, you're running around, you're on stage, you're here, you're there, you're apart. And I just wasn't a good person. And I needed a change. So when I met Susie, finally, I went into counseling and really wanted to stop the bad side of Scott. I had to. I mean, I couldn't live with myself, let alone my other wives live with me. So it changed my life. But she kicked me out of the house for being that same person again. And I had no money. I had lost my house in Evanston, was making big money downtown. Here I'm not making so much money, and my life fell apart. I had $100 in the bank, nowhere to go, and I was just started at the river. And Vietnam vet friend that had been to a few of my appearances. Oh, you come live with me and my wife. And the second Sunday I was there, I woke up at 8:10, walked downstairs, and I said, "Where are you guys going?" They said, "Church." I said, "Could I go?" He goes, "Yeah, you got 10 minutes. Me without a shower is not a happy person, but fixed my hair, went to church and walked in, and I hadn't seen a 2,500 seat church than one in Naperville. And I walked in there, and just the music and the band, and it was welling me up inside because I was broken and I needed something. So the pastor comes out and he said, "Pastor Ross, this is the first of 3 weeks of second chances." I cried through the whole thing. The guy, 2,500 people, and there was a guy that seats people, saw me. I needed a box of tissues. So I sat there and cried and joined a prayer group that day, men's group for 9 years later, and yeah, faith has made me a much better person, that's for sure. The reason I've stayed in radio so long is, number one, I do love music. I mean, music to me is the most important part of being in radio. I never wanted to be anybody. I wanted to play really bad 70s songs. That's why I got into radio, and I did. I was very successful at playing very bad 70s songs. Music attaches an emotion to your heart. I'll hear a Barbra Streisand song that my dad used to love, and I'll even tear up to it. But music takes you to where you were when you heard the song.